Hello viewers, welcome to the Editorial Analysis by Drishti IAS. In this section, we regularly take editorials from various newspapers and news portals for a better understanding of various issues happening in India and around the globe. Dear viewers, in this section, we first try to link the editorial with our UPSC syllabus. Then we go analytical in order to understand some key points and at last some important concepts. Dear viewers, we truly hope that you like this initiative taken by Drishti IAS and your feedbacks are important for us. So kindly feel free to give your important feedbacks in the comment section. So without any further delay, let's commence our session.
Dear viewer, this video is available in Hindi as well. If you wish to watch it, please visit our Hindi YouTube channel, Drishti IAS. For your convenience, the link for this video in Hindi has been provided in the description below.
Today's editorial is taken from the Hindu, published on 8th of January 2021. The title of today's editorial is Fruits of Incitement. If we try to summarize today's editorial, we can say that after the capital breach, the task of building bipartisan consensus is that much harder. If we try to link today's editorial with our UPSC syllabus, we can link it with polity, constitution, governance, and primarily with the section that includes international relations. Some key points from today's editorial. If the history of nations is replete with ironies, nowhere were they more evident than in the United States, when the greatest nation on earth became hostage to an ugly attempted coup led by a mob bearing slogans of support for outgoing President Donald Trump. Now we all know that America has a great history, but the oldest democracy in the world saw something that was not good for its reputation. On 6th of January, many supporters of Donald Trump, they actually barged into the Capitol building and they tried a coup. Now this situation can be said as one of the biggest situations or biggest incidents that has happened in the history of United States of America. On Wednesday, hundreds of them stormed the Capitol building as police appeared to be overwhelmed, and members of Congress who were gathering to certify the results of the 2020 presidential election covered behind benches or were evacuated. Now, on 6th of January, hundreds and thousands of Trump supporters, they breached into the Capitol building. The police seemed absolutely helpless, and many members of Congress were present on that day and they gathered to certify the results of the 2020 presidential election. However, when they saw such situation, many of those have to take cover behind the benches and many were evacuated safely. Although the mob was eventually ejected, lawmakers went on to reconvene and formally certify the results, and Mr. Trump finally committed to an orderly transition. Major social media platforms locked his account for violating their civic integrity policies, namely inciting violence with months of contentious posts that made baseless allegations about electoral fraud. However, later on the mob was ejected out of the Capitol building and the lawmakers again came and certified the results. And finally, Mr. Joe Biden was declared as the 46th President of the United States. After this, Mr. Trump came and he said that he will try to maintain an orderly transition of power. Many social media platforms have actually logged the account of Mr. Donald Trump on the basis for violating the civic integrity policies. Now, during all these months, starting from November, December, Donald Trump was making many contentious posts that were actually making baseless allegations about the electoral fraud. Mr. Trump has time and again said the elections were absolutely rigged. Now, the immediate trigger for the mob said to have been methodologically planned online via social media was the surprise victory of two Democratic candidates, Raphael Warnock and Jon Ossoff, in the January 5 runoff elections in Georgia. Now, it has been said that the most immediate trigger for the mob was actually the surprise victory of two Democratic candidates, Raphael Warnock and Jon Ossoff, who actually contested in the runoff elections in Georgia and they actually won. Now, when I say runoff elections, So we have to see what exactly a runoff election is. Now, runoff elections are those elections which actually take place when no winner candidate has been determined. So it is an election that takes place after the primary elections, after the main elections, in order to determine the winner. And the elections was necessitated by the fact that no candidate won 50% of the popular vote in the November 3 general election. See, that's what exactly said, that neither of the candidates from either parties were able to get 50% of the popular vote. That's the reason the runoff elections were conducted. Their win gives Democrat 50 seats in the Senate, which is a tantamount to control of the upper chamber of the Congress, because the incoming Vice President Kamala Harris will cast a deciding vote in a tie. Now, with this victory, the Democrats have 50 seats in the Senate. Now, those 50 seats are actually quite good in order to get the control of the upper chamber of Congress, because in case of a tie, Kamala Harris, the Vice President, she will cast her vote, and it's quite obvious that she will cast her vote to the Democrats. Now, the present scenario. To say that the incoming and the 46th US President Joe Biden has a tough job on his hands after this inauguration on January 20th would be an understatement. Now, it should be noted that the most important thing, that once Joe Biden takes the oath on 20th of January, the things will not be easy for Mr. Biden. He has a lot many challenges which he has to make sure are being done in a very right manner. The sheer viciousness of the January 6 mob attack and more than 2 months of hateful vitriol online and offline following the 2020 election is proof that politically America is deeply polarized, brimming with anger and enchantment at the ground realities. Now, during the election, and in fact before the election on 3rd of November, there was a lot of hateful transfer, whether online or offline. So actually these things have directly stated that right now America is deeply polarized. And if we speak about the ground realities, the people there are full with anger and disenchantment. The unprecedented assault on the very soul of democracy, as Mr. Biden put it, has been in the making for more than 4 years. Mr. Biden said that this attempt, this action that was taken by the people, it was not something that happened in a moment. It was something which has been planned for past 4 years. At the heart of the tsunami of angst that was evident throughout the election campaign is a sense of frustration that grips middle class America, including the white middle class and blue collar workers, over the inevitable changes to the US economy and society. Now, the most important thing here is Central America. The Central America, or you can say the Middle America, and majorly the white middle class and the blue collar workers are the one who are quite worried and are really very angry because of the situation, because of the changes, several changes that have been brought into the US economy as well as the US society. People have become deeply polarized. Now, when among such a sense, such a feeling of polarization, definitely you can't say that people can live in a feeling of fraternity or brotherhood. There is a constant comparison, there is a constant competition that my party is better, no, my party is better. There is a view that the forces of immigration and globalization have lit the fuses on this explosive combination of racial prejudice and economic presecurity. Now, the people of America are also worried about the immigration policies, and they really want immigration reforms to take place as soon as possible. The way ahead. In reality, Mr. Trump's strident rhetoric exploited this sense of alienation, of socio-economic dysfunction for narrow political and personal gains. Now, the most important person who is to be blamed here is Mr. Trump and the idea he has actually come up with. Mr. Trump, during his entire reign of 4 years, he has actually created this wide gap, and now we are seeing the results of it. However, Mr. Biden has an opportunity to strike a more balanced note. Number one, he has to just make sure that once again people have their faith in the bipartisan consensus. Also, there is a need to bring immigration reforms as soon as possible. Now, one of the most important things the people of America are regularly they are regularly complaining about this thing is the liberalization of the free market. Now, when we speak about free market, so there are several disadvantages, like the profit motives drives business but can create dangers. Poor working conditions are there, unethical decisions can be made as entrepreneurs seek high profits. Free markets can lead to market crashes, as we saw in the Great Depression and in the economic downturn, the early 2000s. Also, the unemployment which is there, because the market is actually looking only for skilled people. So what about those? What about people who are elderly? What about people who are unemployed? What about people who are children? If they want to have some work, they do not get an opportunity in a free market, because the free market is absolutely based on the skills. So these are some of the reasons why the people in America are dissatisfied. Also, one of the most important thing is the post COVID-19 economic reforms which are to be brought by Mr. Joe Biden. And if he believes that they can together make America great again. See, make America great again was an idea that was given by Donald Trump, but nothing has been done in Donald Trump's reign in order to make America great again. So if Mr. Biden really wants to deliver on the American dream, these are some of the areas where he has to work upon, he has to focus. Now, viewers, this was with today's editorial analysis. A question that can be framed with reference to today's editorial is: what are the challenges before the Biden administration after the transfer of power takes place in the United States of America? So viewers, I hope you liked today's editorial analysis. Thank you very much.